synchronicities, spiritual awakenings, the appearance of ET contact in both individual people's lives and just like in public record now. There is so much going on. I'm only mentioning some of the cool stuff. Obviously, there's a lot of other things that are uncomfortable or weird. The thing is, we are accelerating into an age that is stellar alignment. Stellar meaning the stars. And there's a way, there are always ways, of course, that we can prepare. And so that's what we're going to talk about in this episode today. I'm live. My name's Tricia Carr, and I'm going to be bringing through the Atlantis 7. This is a council of light in the spirit realm that I have been connecting with for a few months now, and they're here to help us to understand how we can move forward, to actually even speed up this acceleration even more, and do things like embody it, because that's actually going to help us to move through really quickly. So stay tuned. I can't wait to connect with you in the stars. Hello and welcome to the Charmed Life podcast. This podcast is all about magic, metaphysics, mysticism, and the unconditional love of the universe. And I am your host. My name is Tricia Carr. Welcome. We are live on YouTube at this time, but some people may be actually listening to the replay on audio. And so welcome. You might hear me referring to people who are on the live feed. And I just hope we all just feel like we can have the best time today exploring our amazing alignment process that we're in. Really, truly are expanding and accelerating in fantastic ways. I just had Bashar channel is named Daryl Anka on the program. And it's really amazing the things that Bashar has been sharing with us. And I'm coming at it from a different kind of channeled energy, the Atlantis 7. This is a council of light who exist again in the spirit realm. As I connect with them, it seems as though I've had a connection with them for a long time. It's funny, I was actually watching listening to, I can't remember, an old podcast of mine where I was talking about Lemuria and Atlantis. And I mentioned in that episode, I think I was downloading it at that time or had recently downloaded it, that during a certain period of the Atlantean times, I was on the spirit side, or I was like quasi-spiritual, quasi-physical. And I had forgotten that I got that download so long ago. And it was I was kind of guided to watch that podcast for some other reason after I started to connect with this Atlantis Council of 7. So that's what we're going to talk about today, some different ways that they have presented to me, 5 ways or 5 keys to prepare for this new stellar era. We are swiftly moving into it. Before I head into that, I actually want to do a bit of a public service announcement. I have a friend whose name is Fedra Barrett. She is a cat rescuer, and she has a couple of big profiles on Instagram, but she has a profile called Balam Says, Balam, and the word says, as in talks. So Fedra was actually on the podcast about a year ago. I'm not really sure. The reason I want to talk about this is, well, it wraps into our subject today anyway, because as we connect with nature, as we are kinder, compassionate, more empowered about ourselves, recognizing that we are nature and actually able to be empowered in how we are servicing and living as stewards on and with this planet. You know, connecting with animals is a part of it. So it does actually tie into us moving forward as I'm talking about, this paradigm of the new stellar age. And so anyway, Fedra, Balam Says, they have a foundation for cat rescuing, balam.org, and I am going to actually post it here in the comments. So the amazing thing about the Balam Foundation and the work that Fedra does is that they service the most impoverished areas of Mexico with medical services, spaying and neutering for cats and dogs. And they're dominantly about rescuing and homing cats. They also do TNR, trap, neuter, and release as is appropriate. But there are so many cats that they take in. She's at capacity right now. So balamfoundation.org. Now, if you're thinking, how do I get a cat from Mexico? I live in the United States. Most of them are adopted out to the United States, and they sort that out. You will sort that out with her. A lot are to the Pacific and the Pacific Northwest regions. I believe that she has some bonded pairs right now who may be going to somewhere in like Ohio, but it's not solid yet. So the reason I'm mentioning this now is not only because you guys know that I teach animal communication. I love animals. Many of us might say, we might love them more than humans. A little guilty pleasure to be able to admit that. Fedra's just doing such amazing work. There's a lot that's going on right now for the Balam family, namely the cat who is the namesake of it, Balam. He's quite injured and in critical condition right now. So Balam and Fedra actually became viral on Instagram because Balam is just hilarious. He has this adorable way that he vocalizes. He's a very loud and noisy and beautiful kitty. And Fedra is also quite amazing in the way that she communicates with him. And they became viral with those cute videos of Balam and Fedra talking to one another. Well, Fedra decided to do something with that. I think it's probably been about 3 or 4 years since that viralization happened. And Fedra decided to take Balam's fame and make this foundation to rescue cats. Again, servicing the most impoverished areas of Mexico. And where there is poverty, there is a lack of education. And so you can imagine the work that they are up to. Balam became injured I think it's been about a week. He fell in their home and broke his hip and had a surgery. Just about a day ago, the surgery seemed to have failed. He has infection. He's in critical condition, although, as it is reported today, Balam is doing okay. He's fever-free, but still not out of the woods. And the reason is not only because we want to bring some awareness to Balam and Fedra's work, but the thing that Fedra needs help with is to home some of these cats that are ready to go. She has a few bonded pairs of cats, meaning cats that love each other to the moon and back, wonderful kittens, young cats just ready to go to homes. And she really needs help with that. So people are saying, how can we help you? How can we help you? She's like, please help me to home these cats, because that is where my desperation is failing, because she's desperate to take care of Balam. By the way, she has I think 5 other cats as well. But Balam is taking all of her time and energy, and these wonderful cats need homes. And I'm going to see if I can actually screen share a video of one of the bonded pairs. Let's see if I can get this going. Again, remember, this is live produced. So yeah, I think I can share this on Instagram. And yeah, good. So I'll be able to share this video and turn on the volume.
Get the Marge Simpson meow.
Okay, so I guess maybe you can't hear it. So anyway, this that I'm showing on the screen for those who are listening is the bonded pair that she really wants to get home as soon as possible. Mr. Floof and Margie. Marge's voice sounds just like Marge Simpson. They are so adorable, and she has many more. So again, if you're listening at some other time than what is this time,
and how many
that
babies
we're
do you have?
delivering this,
You're not going to produce
go
milk
to Balam
at
Foundation
any point in your
because balamfoundation.org, because she has, I don't know, she's always at capacity, it seems. And there's another kitty named Selva who needs a home. So it's on my heart right now. I'm hoping that if you are thinking at all about adopting a cat, or you might have some space, if this is tugging on your heartstrings in synchronistic ways, then please do go find it. And of course, follow here's the Balam Foundation website. Of course, you can just follow Fedra and her family on Balam Says. That's at Balam Says on Instagram and on Facebook. And fun story, actually, this was probably about 6 months ago. Fedra, one of her other cats, Rue, actually was lost. He got out somehow and was gone for a few days, and it was just devastating. And I helped her. I tapped in and was able to find the location where he was remotely. Saw up that there was this wall that had a certain kind of characteristic, like bricks with the cement squished out, and he was up it somehow. I'm like, I don't even know how that happened. And that he was southeast, I think, to my memory, about 1,000 feet away. And what's so amazing about that is my being able to tap in that way just encouraged the family in a way that helped them to tap in along the resonance frequency that Rue and I had put together. And then he came home within 24 hours, I think it was, again, to my memory. And he was where I had remotely viewed. So it was really amazing. So just a little fun story there. And again, balamfoundation.org. Adopt a Mexican kitty from Fedra and Balam. And, if you want to pray for the family and the whole organization, as we hope the Balam heals really quickly. So that's something that we can do to help ourselves with our sensitive nature, with our compassionate way showing nature, is little ways that we can't solve all the wars. We can't solve all of the climate crisis today. We can't rescue all of the animals, but we can publicize something, about a rescue that's on our heart. If we have just a few dollars to donate, and many little things help, and our small things make a big work. So there, starting off, we'll just say that's one way that we can accelerate our ascension and our movement toward the new stellar age. So I'm going to say hi to who's here now. And Kekika Miller is saying, I would love to know what has happened to a cat I lost years ago named Sophie. I was in the hospital, had people look for her, but couldn't find her. And then I moved and it broke my heart. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm so sorry. I'm not specifically tapping in with her right now. I have a certain process to make sure that I am making a connection to the animal. And however, I just want to say that while I have still heartbreaks from relationships of animals that I've had, wondering if I was the right guardian or steward, or if I did everything I could. And ultimately, that in those situations, they are teaching us to trust ourselves. They are teaching us to trust the love that we have, and teaching us to give ourselves compassion. But I completely understand, and an animal communicator would be able to help you with that. And of course, I should say, possibly I could help you with that if you want to check my website, So Tracy, hi, Tracy's here. Oh yeah, that was really fun. Tracy follows, Balam says too. And Kate, hi. I'm sitting with my grand kitty Bert, who is a talker, growler, and hisser. Oh my gosh, there's this kitty that I see on my neighborhood walk route. I don't see him every time. He's a big, has a little more girth than maybe a kitty should have, but hey, we're not going to body shame him. Brown tabby, and he's so cute. He runs up to you and he smashes into your legs, and he does what they call aloe rubbing, just rubbing all over you. He's just very affectionate. And before I can even bend down to start scratching his face, he overstimulates himself and he starts hissing. He's just like, oh my gosh, there's so much energy, I have to hiss it out. And so I call him the brown hissy fitter because he's just so cute. Yeah. Hi, Lori. Nice to see you. Hi, Yvette. Oh, good. So good to see you all. Okay, so let's talk about where we are right now. If you missed it, or, if you saw it, then pardon the redundance, but I did, just like I said, have Daryl Ank on my podcast, and Bashar said, who is the entity that Daryl Anka channels, Bashar said recently, and then again on my podcast, that basically we have accelerated to where we've skipped about 8 years in a manner of speaking, or we've skipped the need of processing 2 full U.S. election cycles because of how it's almost like this compounding effect of how much we're accelerating. If we're accelerating, then that acceleration gives more acceleration to the next cycle of accelerating. So that was really cool. And the way that I have been pulling it through with this Atlantis Council of Light, this Atlantis 7. They are 7 entities, and they have been helping to give attunement to how we're moving into, actually not moving into, we are at the precipice, we're already in this era that is what we would experience as a golden era, like Atlantis was. And another synchronicity is that Daryl said on the podcast that when we have open contact with our extraterrestrial and extra dimensional brothers and sisters who are, going to help us to move forward in the ways that our hearts are feeling, in the ways that we're already preparing ourselves, in the ways we already have, that one of the things that we will get is some of our recorded history that they have been keeping for us that we don't have on our planet, and mentioned specifically like Atlantis. We'll be able to see real history of Atlantis. So again, that's a synchronization because that's something that I started to connect with this Atlantis 7 a few months ago, and it wasn't because I heard, Bashar talking about that. So it's just really wild. The synchronicities are just through the roof in my experience right now. And actually, before I even head into some of the things, the 5 keys to help us to prepare, is that synchronicities, they are 2 things. They are showing us that we are on our path. They're like guideposts that help us to continue to move forward. And it's also just basically the bleed through of the parallel realities that we're able to hold in our awareness and our consciousness more of the expanded realities. And say yes to all of them. Yesterday, I had the synchronization of so many weird events. It's like I have to take a little time to integrate it. And that's what I believe these 5 keys that the Atlantis 7 are telling us to help us to continue our acceleration, to say yes to it, to lean into it, and to create embodiment about it. Because it is our physical reality that is especially moving toward the alignment, needing the upgrade and the ascension to be able to tolerate the frequencies of our new age. So yesterday, I went to the salon and there were 2 other people there with my same first name. One of them had a last name that sounded a lot like mine, Khan, which mine's Tricia Carr, and she was Tricia Khan. Khan is also the name of one of my cats. We call him Khan Khan. And then there was one other customer there who had the same name as my mother, Marilyn, which is, again, it's not the most uncommon, but also not the most common names. So even if that synchronization is so weird, you just got to say yes to it and keep moving forward. And by the way, that is like 1/10 of the wild stuff that is not only went on yesterday, but has been going on in life lately. So I want to take a moment to also mention that I have a program called Astral Mastery. And this program is really, at the foundation of it, is helping us to prepare to move forward in our this new age of astral awakening and stellar alignment. And it is really the ultimate intuitive expansion program. So it's all about intuitive expansion, allowing our consciousness to be expanded to occupy all of the realities of spirit, simultaneously with the realities of physical reality, because that's the point that of awareness that your soul has, brought in for this time. So anyway, as the name might imply, astral mastery, you might think, oh, astral projection. Yes, that is one of the things that we are focused on in the program. It's only one of the things, though, because fundamentally, again, it's about moving into the consciousness age that we are already in. And so, again, think of it as intuitive expansion for the personal development, but people who are in the program are also professional intuitive practitioners. So they're able to start utilizing this development in their own practice right away. So this is actually the first level to a second level that I have not announced yet. I mean, I've announced it in this way, but I haven't released yet. I haven't opened registration for. That's going to be coming in the second level of this is going to come early 2025. So Astral Mastery, there are two ways that you can take it: by either a full coaching option where you get to interact with the community, with me in group coaching, to practice on our twice per month practice labs, basically. And then there's also just the version of live class where you get to be in all of the live classes, just like in a similar way as this, asking questions on the feed. And you also get to you have invitations to come to the lab work practices, what we call Sacred Sphere, as a guest to be able to receive readings and whatnot. So two really awesome options to check out with Astral Mastery. And yeah, Holly's in it. Holly's there, loving Astral Mastery, and we are loving you, Holly. So thanks so much. Okay. Because the reason for this is because the wild thing is, as I said, astral projection, a self-initiated practice of astral projection is one of the things that we work on in Astral Mastery. And incidentally, it's been expanding so much in ubiquity, much like the, contact, extra dimensional and extraterrestrial contact has been showing up a lot. And so has astral projection. And there's a reason for this. This isn't actually one of the 5 keys, but it just something I wanted to talk about today. Because what astral projection is, first of all, astral projection is perfectly natural. It's what we do habitually, frequently, if not every night when we are sleeping. The distinction is that with a self-initiated, fully conscious astral projection or out-of-body experience, is that our full conscious awareness will be there to witness and record and remember the experience. So it is very much like, it's different than dreaming, but we do enhanced dreaming and lucid dreaming in the program as well. It's different than dreaming. It is your full conscious awareness occupying the energy realms. It's like physical reality insofar as your consciousness is concerned, but you have the freedom of being out of body, not the limitations of physical reality. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this is because astral projection or out-of-body experiencing, fully conscious, is one of the ways that we can prepare and accelerate moving into the new era. Because, like I said, there are many things that we are moving toward that currently our physical bodies cannot tolerate the frequency of. So if we are able to move in our energy bodies, and by the way, I would encourage you to work with your dreams as well, because that is also a version of your energy body. Again, different than astral projection, but definitely a version of one of your energy bodies. But as we are moving into those realms with our full consciousness, that energy body is not limited. It can tolerate those more expanded and higher frequencies. So as that is recorded then with your full consciousness, then you can bring it to your physical reality, and your physical body can work to embody it. And this is working on the ascension of the physical body. So that's a sort of side note. I want to talk to you now about what these 5 keys that the Atlantis 7 Council of Light has shared. And I'm probably going to be partially in channel, partially medium mystic. I'm going to take a sip of water, and then we're going to head in. Okay, we're going to start with a channeled message, and then we're going to look over the 5 keys that they downloaded to me earlier. I actually don't have them memorized because I automatically wrote them. I did automatic writing to dictate them. But we're going to start with an opening message, and then we're going to begin. I'll come back with my eyes open and, my more mediumistic kind of frequency going, so that I can look at the downloaded automatic channeled writing that I brought through a couple of days ago, and then also I'll continue to listen to them. Okay, having said that, give me a moment here. You'll hear me breathing, and then we're going to bring through the Atlantis 7 Council of Light. Another sip of water. Greetings, beings of light. For you are those who walk about in this universe in your crystallized bodies of light. And so as you would witness that entities such as these who come through under the name, under the awareness that has been dubbed Atlantis 7, for there are 7 in this council, although the 7 represent leagues and nations, including you and you and you and you. As you would witness that we of this council are beings of light, and those of your master realm and your angelic realm are beings of light, and so it is that you are also beings of light. You have the point of focus to be in a crystallized point of awareness, a crystallized light awareness, and that is what your physical reality is. And we speak this to you as a greeting and as an attunement because this will set up your new age, that which you have been accelerating into very swiftly, very quickly of late. In this period of many decades, especially the last 2 decades, and moving very quickly into the next half decade, that is approximately 5 of your years. And that time is shortening and tightening because time is only one of the resources that you are aware of. And it is only one of the aspects that help you to track what is unfolding in your reality. But it is a property of you. This time is a property of you. Much like your money is your property, so then is time a property of yours. And so as you are continuing to accelerate and the time is compounding and doubling down and continuing to become what seems to you as shorter, what will help this is your identity to your light existence. And so it is not that you are separated, although you can use this perspective and this illusion of separation to help you to have the manifestation of your contribution from your soul through this vehicle, through these vessels of these crystallized bodies of light. And this will help you to see how the narrative is unfolding, to see how the separation has been utilized. Once again, separation, consciousness is a property of yours. Here, when we say property, we mean tool. We mean asset, if you so choose to see it as such. But if you see an asset as a limitation, you see an asset as something of if you see an asset and a property as something that owns you, then it will create in you that which is pain and suffering. Now, we acknowledge here that we used pain and suffering in the same spoken sentence. And yes, they are distinctive, as one of your spiritual teachers said, that pain is a part of the physical experience and suffering is optional. And yet there is something to pain that gets confused with suffering. In fact, we would like to use separation consciousness here to allow pain and suffering to become distinctive one to another. Because there can be pain experienced on many levels of your physical and non-physical bodies. And yet how it is that you might witness it as suffering is a choice of yours. It is the capacity for you to utilize your free will. For there are times where you can transfer your preponderance of conscious energy, which is your awareness, to one of the seeming bodies that are seemingly separate from the other, so that you can have the alleviation and the expansion that is coming through the experience. And so we would like to bring to the stage here the awareness of the pain that is occurring in your human race, whether it is your own pain or another, the emotional, the mental and emotional pain that is occurring. And so we speak to the ones who are having a heavy heart, a burdened awareness of those who suffer in that which would be called other countries, those who are under profound siege, those who are being used and abused and even having their lives robbed from them as it is perceived in your awareness of this time. And so as this pain becomes suffering for you, this emotional, this mental pain moves into suffering for you, we ask you to allow yourself to experience suffering with the existential right that you have to experience suffering, as it is a part of your deepened experience. But we also ask you to not dwell here because as it is touching down at the bottom of the ocean, we would like for you to rise up again with the memory and with the experience of having touched down at the bottom of the ocean. And that is what your suffering is. Now you carry it with you so that as you ascend from the bottom of this suffering point, that you may be able to hold others in their suffering so that they may see the path back to the place of holding the awareness, to be able to be the strength for those who can be benefited by your compassionate awareness. So this is something we would like to bring in. Now you can think of many other examples in your personal reality where you may be having physical pain and suffering, emotional pain and suffering. And we bring this to the awareness as this is a collective who is gathered here today, those who have compassionate hearts. And we want to remind you that as you can play with or you can use skillfully the illusion of separation to both deepen your experience and then also use separation in another creative way where you can separate pain and suffering so that while pain may still exist, you can touch down to the suffering as is your existential right, but then move beyond it and actually ascend suffering, actually release the density so that as suffering is still in your awareness as something that has occurred and that is occurring for others, that you're ascending the experience of suffering by creating the line between pain and suffering, creating the separation. And this will then contribute this to, as we've been using the ocean imagery, contribute it to the energy ocean so that those who are ready to ascend from suffering can also utilize that frequency. So this is one thing that we find to be important for you to be able to even begin to pivot into practices that help you to continue the acceleration. And now it may be that as you're accelerating, experiencing things such as synchronicities, awakenings, seeming magical discontinuity of parallel realities all blending into one. And then on a day where you're having bliss and ecstasy, then the awareness of pain shows up again. And we say, this isn't to bring you down to the bottom of the ocean again. This is to help you to recognize the expansion that is available. And so we believe in you. We hold a belief in you now. We look into your hearts. We look into the depths of your light, your inner light, and we ask you to be aware of this with us. That as pain shows up in your awareness, in your consciousness field, even while you might be having a day that is filled with ecstasy and bliss, or perhaps you're having a day that is also in the awareness of suffering, whatever it is, we want to encourage you. We want to look into your heart and add resonant frequency to your heart, encourage you to feel that you are that strength in that scenario of your own consciousness field to be able to ascend whatever it is that is in your awareness. And so now we want to encourage you to identify with your essence, your true essence, your pure essence. And while we are coming through as seeming separate entities through this individual, this channel, we want to let you know that we only come through to you as a representation of you. And so if this is finding resonance in your being, If you're feeling any of this, whether as a felt sense or in a way that it is processing through your narrative mind that is able to create a wonderful inspiration from it, then we are actually entering into, by permission of your soul. And so this is always you. All that you experience is always you. And so we encourage you to continue to recognize the full identity of your light existence. And as a star can shine on any and all things, so can you. Any and all things that come into the shine of your awareness, come into the luminescence that you give off, that your true essence is that which is guiding the way. And so in each moment to stop, nurture yourself, do the most simple things as to embody light by breathing, nurturing your physical form, because that is the foundation for you to continue to ascend. And so we will turn this back over to your channel, who will give these 5 keys that we did download many recent days of your time, help you to contemplate them and to allow them to be these ways of practices that will help you in your days and nights to be able to embody more of your light in your conscious awareness and in your physical crystallized light bodies. Okay, I'm coming back now. So I want to say that I'm going to look at these 5 keys that I brought through the other day, and that the floor is open if you want to ask any questions live on the feed. Please do. Any questions at all. There will be nothing that is too small or great or personal. I see Lori actually saying, I'm certain that this was meant for me. Okay, Lori. Yeah, wonderful. Oi, she says. Yes, and Lori, I know Lori, those of you who are listening, so much love and compassion and prayer for those who are your ancestors and your kin in Israel. So let's look at these 5 keys that they gave me before. All right. So, interesting. Because again, like I said, I'm looking at the first one and I didn't remember them at all. I dictated them. I brought them in simple language, wrote them down. There's probably typos in here on my notes because I'm not a great typist. And so when I do automatic write through typing, there are typos. And, but the very first one, I believe they covered. I can't remember now at this point if it was covered just in the channeled message. Yeah, I think it was, or if it was before I went into the channel. For those of you, I'm going to take a moment in case this is the first time, or if you aren't really clear on what channeling is or the mechanics of channeling, is that, basically I allow or invite, I should say, allow and invite a frequency of consciousness to come in. Now, my soul has given the green light to it first. So my personality steps aside. And in this case, we have a council of 7. So they kind of come together in one voice. Every now and again, one of the 7 will step forward and kind of, speak from that particular fractal of this council. And, but at any rate, because my personality is stepping aside and kind of acting like a part of the audience, and because I'm altered, my memory fades about what happens during the specific channeled parts. So that's why I'm like, when did this happen? Even though it was like 5 minutes ago. The first key that they already seem to have started to address is the mindful use of resources. If you want to write these down. Keys to accelerating, continue to accelerate into the new stellar age. The first one is mindful use of resources, energy, time, and environment. In as much as you can, even if little by little, Be mindful and prayerful of your resources. Let's talk about what mindfulness is. Mindful is presence. It is having a full focused awareness in the moment and perhaps on a certain subject. And I'll give you an example of how you can become mindful in a moment. When I walk almost every day, walk or hike almost every day as body movement practice for cardio and all of that. And sometimes I start my walk or hike and my mind is racing, and it's racing on some things that I don't need to be paying attention to those things. I have the open head in human design. That's paying attention to things that don't matter, thinking about things that don't matter. So if I'm starting this practice of body movement and cardiovascular, exercise, which I love so much, I want to commit to it. I want to be mindful in that, because this time that I have to dedicate to it, the energy that I'm using, because they said the resources of energy, time, and the environment, I'll break that down too. I want to be with it. I want to be fully present to it. By the way, there are many times, because I've been hiking and running my whole life, and I just realized this, or I think Spirit showed it to me actually. I used to fall all the time. My legs and knees are scarred to the hilt from the many times that I have fallen, either running or walking on cement, or running or walking on a hike where there are rocks. And you know why I did that? Because I wasn't mindful. I wasn't present. I was probably letting my mind think about things that don't matter. And I fell and really injured myself many times. I haven't I think the last time I fell was in 2018 or 19, because I remember the injury. It was gnarly. So it's been many years. That's the first time no pressure on myself, right? I'm still becoming more and more present, becoming more and more mindful, and soothing and healing and regulating my nervous system more and more. But that's basically what I do to become mindful while I'm heading out into my movement practice. Is I concentrate my awareness on my feet, and I just feel my feet, my physical feet. I feel the steps. I just kind of and it doesn't take long at all. Sometimes I think it takes like 90 seconds to where all of those thoughts that don't matter just fade away. And that's where I am right now. It could take a few repetitions of, oh my gosh, I started thinking about a thing again, and focusing your awareness again. But you can use your physical body to become mindful. And obviously meditation and trance training and other consciousness practices facilitate the muscle of being able to, at will, become mindful with your resources. So it is your utility, your utilization of your energy. And what is energy? Energy is like, sure, I'm awake, I'm asleep, I'm working, I'm focusing my energy, I'm using my energy. So your life force energy. And to actually be intentional is one word we haven't said, but mindful and prayerful, meaning that we bless it, we love it, we're in gratitude and appreciation for it as we are using it like the precious, beautiful commodity that it is. Time, they already talked about time, is something that it doesn't own us. And so at the moment that we're feeling like there's not enough time, I wish I had more time, let's stop and become mindful and recognize that time is actually, it's like currency. Think of what currency actually means. Current, frequencies, things that are frequently in currents reoccurring. And so time is actually here like money for us. Time and money have a lot in common. They're just symbols of something that cannot be contained. And it is a way for us to add some colors to it so that we can see the narrative of expansion that we are creating. And then environment. And so environment here is all the things you might think of it. It is how we move on the planet. It is the elements of air, fire, water, and earth. It is how we are living here. Even some things as simple as thinking about how much the fairies will pay gratitude to you and support you if you pick up trash or, take care of something just a little bit more. but also the energy environment, the way that you are showing up in a room and you are being the light of the experience or being the blessing of the experience. So, this first key is mindful use of resources, energy, time, and environment in as much as you can, even if little by little. So, no pressure. Definitely don't should all over yourself about this. That is not helping. As much as you can, even if by little, be mindful and prayerful of your resources, even praying over them, praying through them, lovingly holding them as you are a steward and guardian of these resources that you have in this moment, in this day, in this meeting, in this conversation, in this work that I am doing, in this play that I am doing, in this interaction that I am doing. And those of you who took the course or workshop that I had recently in Modern Mystic, Modern Mystic Life, it's an $11 a month platform subscription with all kinds of amazing resources. Like for $11 a month, you get a 2-hour workshop and a live meditation, plus a lot of other exclusive content that I deliver to you. It's kind of like Patreon, but at any rate, you can find that on my website. I think it's below in the description too. But anyway, in Modern Mystic, I created this course, and one of the tenets of it was to be mindful of how you are a blessing in every moment. The only reason I'm in this conversation is to be a blessing. The only reason I am in this life is to be a blessing. So that's a way to be prayerful over and through your resources. Okay, that's the first key. Again, recapping. Actually, I can put mindful reason. I'm going to put this in the chat so that you guys can see it. And you know what I'll do afterward too, if you're watching this on the replay, I'm sure you can look down into the description because I'll have added this as what you can actually copy for yourself if you want to put it on a separate document. So, yes. All right. So I was looking at the comments. That's why I paused there for a second. Okay. So our next key for continuing to accelerate in our stellar age, and here it is. Operate from your true value. As you honor your true value, so you can create the world you want to live in. Operate from your true value. I'm seeing how they actually put these in the order that they did. Because if we have mindful use of our resources, then with that moment to be able to make sure that we are being mindful and prayerful of our resources, then we can find our deep inner source, our inner resource, which is our true value. And your true value is imprinted on your heart. It is held in the depths of your being, and you feel it as intuition. You feel it as your body's translation of resonance, your true value. And this is a lesson that, I've really been learning lately as I accept my true value and my awareness of it, and then opt out of my conditioned what I should be doing, because of how I have taken messages from society. So I'll just give you a veiled example of how I've done this lately. And it's where, there's something that I'm doing in my work life, and it's something that is not really tapping into my true value. Now, I show up to it in the mindful, prayerful, I am here to be a blessing, and wonderful things still happen. But I can sense in my energy that it is, and I can witness with my full awareness, it's not the best use. I'm not operating from the best use of my true value. I can be valuable when I show up because love can do anything. Love can fix and correct anything. But ultimately, in that bigger scheme of things, it's not something that is really using my truest value. And as I honor my true value and I say, well, I'm going to release that, you know what? The way that was not using my true value optimally allows my true value then to be used in ways that are even greater than the amazing things that would have happened from that. You know what I mean? Like even more, I'm able to optimize the resources from key number one. So operating from your true value, and this is something we're always going to be discovering. There are two different practices that help you to recognize your true value. Well, first of all, just developing your intuition, developing your intuitive abilities and all of that. And that's the kind of work that, I'm always offering and doing. And then and a part of that is like human design, talks about your inner authority and your strategy. That helps you to witness and recognize and move from and operate from your true value. And then, of course, as we've been talking about Bashar, I've been talking about Bashar lately. Bashar's formula is to act on your highest excitement to the best ability you have at the time with absolutely no insistence on the details of the outcome. And these are kind of all these different paradigms are talking about the same thing. So operate from your true value, because as you honor your true value, so you create the world you want to live in. I create the world I want to live in by being who I deeply and most valuably am. And then I am allowing someone else, like let's say that work thing that I was occupying that was not the best optimal use of my value. If I remove my energy from there, someone else may be able to step into that place. That's one way you could look at it. If I create a vacuum by releasing something, then that is able to call someone else forward. That's one thing you can think of, but also just modeling it, just being in the frequency of, my batteries just went on my thing. I guess that's fine. I don't really need to hear myself. Being in the frequency of what is my value, then sorry, my earbuds just went out on me. That then offers that to the ocean of resonance for everyone else. Because energy is very literal. So as I am more who I really am, I am creating the world around me of everyone is more of who they are. So there is that one. And again, if anyone has any questions, I want to see what Kate says. I felt great warmth spread through my heart toward the end of your transmission. Awesome. Thank you, Kate. I feel great warmth spread through my heart when I'm with you, Kate. So that is the second key. Now, the third key, again, I'm kind of learning these at the same time as you. So let's see what it is. I'm going to paste it here in the chat. And this third key is, nope, that's the second one. Here we go. Nope, that's the second one. Where did the third one go? There it is. Okay, great. Let your actions be kind and compassionate. Take a moment in the day to step out of your comfort zone to do an act of kindness. Okay, I'm feeling this one. So this is actually kind of practical. Oh, well, it's not kind of practical. This one is practical in the suggestion of it. It is actually they are asking us as a way to, again, remember we're talking about accelerating our movement forward, our expansion, and our alignment with our stellar era that we are in already and that we are moving into in more magnificent ways. They say this is really thank you, I'm listening, because they're telling me now, they're saying to be bold. Stepping out of your comfort zone means to do something that is loving and kind in a way that you don't typically do it. And the reason they're saying step out of your comfort zone is because the idea of comfort zone here isn't like, oh, you should make yourself uncomfortable. It's more that the comfort zone of homogenization, of societal conditioning, to where, let's say, if we're worried that it seems weird that we might pay someone a compliment to a stranger, or that we might, there was this whole trend that people have started a few times of paying it forward, like buying a coffee for someone anonymously or little things like that. But it doesn't have to be things that cost money. And it can just be helping someone, noticing something about someone and telling them, witnessing it to them by actually speaking it to them. Maybe it's even something like smiling at someone. There was a lovely young man. I'm getting chills as I recall this moment. It's like he was a walking prayer. This was a beautiful moment. So I was on one of my daily walks, and by the way, I get mindful, and then sometimes I'm also studying. So I'm listening to something. And so I was actually listening to a book or something. And as we this young man, I say young because he was much younger than me, and he was walking the opposite direction. So we were about to pass each other on the sidewalk. And so what I tend to do while I'm listening to something is I just kind of give a very simple hello, something like that, and a smile and a hello. He leaned into it a little bit more. He got my attention. It was very kind and it wasn't intrusive at all, by the way. Sometimes people don't have a lot of energy to respond. He did it in a way that I was completely free to respond or not, but I could feel his smile. I could feel his full loving attention as we were approaching. And he smiled really sweetly and he said, "Hi." It was so, if you're watching the video, you might be able to see a little better than you can hear my intention, but it was just like he was seeing an old friend. Hi. And also, again, no expectation. So it wasn't like he was trying to start up a conversation. He kept walking. Oh my goodness. I can just feel this like warm fuzzy that it's still reverberating in my energy field from this loving act of kindness that this young man did so sincerely. So stepping out of our comfort zone, the comfort zone being the symbol of things that are like how we always do things, just our habits. Or if someone, like I had my neighbor made this beautiful collage, or it's like, it's on wood and it's like burnt, but then it's also painted and it's this beautiful woman. And on the other side of it, it has a cat, and he gave it to me as a gift. And it's so lovely and so beautiful. And he gave it to me. He gave it to my husband. I had COVID at the time. I was pretty sick. And so it took me, I didn't respond to it because I was sick. And then he came up to me and he goes, "Hey, I hope that wasn't weird that I gave that to you." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, no. I didn't thank you profusely yet. It's lovely and it's beautiful." But because I didn't say anything to him at first, he was like, "Oh my gosh, I did a weird thing." And that's perfectly fine. But it's just, I'm just recognizing, and I probably would have done the same thing, by the way, but I'm recognizing that he did this beautiful, kind thing, and he stepped out of his comfort zone a little bit. And he wanted to make sure that it wasn't like, breaking society rules and stuff. So it was really awesome how the synchronization showed up, because I delayed being able to talk to him about it and profusely thank him. I probably should have gone out of my way to kindly thank him sooner. But at any rate, it's just revealing to us, how acts of kindness and compassion, and so that's another piece of it, how you might step in and adopt a Mexican kitty. I'm calling back from the beginning of the episode where I was talking about my friend Fedra with Balam Foundation, or to donate a few dollars anonymously. Many different ways that we can think of each day. If we put it maybe in our journal, I think that would be great, a nightly journal of an act of kindness or compassion, that I stepped out of my comfort zone, meaning stepped out of the homogeny, and I allowed myself to be in that energy of expansion. So that is key number 3. All right, let's see what key number 4 is. And this one is, this is a good one. This kind of wraps up all of these keys, I would say. And this one says, shift your attitude to lightness, fun, patience, and agreeability. Do not complain or lower your vibration to combativeness. They're giving us a do not. They're giving us a, hey, just so you know, humans, this is what we're talking about. This is the don't do. And here's the do is shift your attitude to lightness, fun, patience, and agreeability. Lightness is, so attitude is kind of the way that we're approaching the world. It's like the membrane of us approaching the world. And, it kind of overlaps with mood, but really attitude is boosted by light. And this is something from the gene keys. I think it might be gene key 3. It could be gene key 3 or it could be gene key 5. But I want to partially attribute as best as I can, because I'm paraphrasing, where Richard Rudd talks about how light actually shifts our attitude. And that means light in both the, metaphorical way and also in the physical way. You've heard of seasonal affective disorder, or maybe you've been affected by seasonal affective disorder, where there's less light and it actually impacts the mood. It kind of brings people down. So a way to shift your attitude with light and to shift it to lightness could be to get out in the physical sun and to light, or have one of those UV lights. And if that isn't available, or I should say, you can add to it, shifting from letting your inner light shift your attitude. And so a lightness as well, meaning to be lighter, have a levity about how we're approaching everything. Fun is this key that I also teach in that program that I mentioned already about blessing, about being a blessing. Fun or adventure, letting something that is confusing or complicated or overwhelming, letting it be that part of the narrative or the movie, if you will, that is creating the adventure. So trying to, when we can and when it's appropriate, allowing ourselves to shifting something that is overwhelming or confusing to the fun part of it or the adventure part of it, even if it's a tiny pivot, so that we can gain more resource to our light, meaning the greater awareness that we have available. Patience. And someone who's here actually I said to me when I was talking about, this is again also from Gene Keys, patience is a self-proving virtue. That means that, you understand the virtue of patience when you actually have patience, and then you allow patience to show itself to you as a virtue. And someone who's here, I quoted that, and she said, like, oh my gosh, that's so... That's so infuriating, and yet, actually in a light way, she said this. She didn't say infuriating. I'm paraphrasing, but anyway, allowing ourselves to be more patient, more and more patient, and again, being honest with ourselves that we're not talking about discarding things that are serious or important, and we're not talking about a false patience, which is to be codependent or to devalue our own boundaries. Just ways that we can be more patient with ourselves, more patient with everything. And then agreeability, which I think the lightness, fun, patience can help us to be more agreeable, to help us to go yes and more instead of but. And then that just helps us to find ways where we don't lower our own vibration by complaining. Now, there's a difference, again, between needing to correct something and you can actually have an attitude of agreeability in order to correct something. But complaining in a way that is disempowering, or to be agreeing to combativeness, that seems to be the lower vibration of the homogenized society construct. And boy, we are in a time of combativeness, aren't we? So proximate to an election in the U.S. And actually, apparently, half of the nations of the world are currently in an election cycle, which is really wild and different than what typically happens. So, seeing how we can stay out of complaint and out of combativeness, and allowing our attitude or approach to have more lightness, fun, patience, and agreeability to it. That is key number 4. And I think that, again, key number 4 is helping us to do keys 1 through 3. Reminding us all that this is about how we are accelerating even more in this time of acceleration to be able to occupy the new era, which might include things like spiritual abilities that are more physicalized, meaning, I don't know, the way that they do magic and Charmed. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe that's a little extreme. But something that we dream about, isn't it? All right, so then key number 5, let's see. Take action toward shifting your paradigm in alignment with your true value and essence. And they give us some examples. Take a class, improve your health, actively believe in your dreams, for these are imprints on your heart. Oh, there's more to this one that didn't come through. Let's see. These are imprints on your heart from your soul. So we're already doing that, right? We came together today to be on the live feed of this podcast, or to listen into it and replay, to interact with one another lovingly. We're doing that today, so congratulations to us all. Take action towards shifting your paradigm in alignment with your true value and essence. Take a class, improve your health, actively believe in your dreams, for these are imprints on your heart from your soul. Actively believe in your dreams. Actively, meaning do something about it. Do more mindful awareness of your dreams. And then, yes, allow that mindful awareness become one step forward today. And so taking a class is just an example of it. And those classes, there are plenty that are free or very, very low cost. So that would be taking a class. We might need to then be mindful, see key one, be mindful of our resources. Resources could be time, could be money, could be energy. So allow your actions to flow more in alignment with your true value and essence. And essence is this quality of starlight. It is the spiritual essence of star energy, of light. That's what our true essence is. That's what your true essence is. That's what my true essence is. And from that, our value, meaning our capacity to let it be expanded out into this universe, into this beautiful world upon which we are having this life and this experience. This is key 5. I think these all really flow one to another. Take action towards shifting your paradigm. Take action to it in alignment with your true value and essence. Improve your health is one that we didn't touch upon. In the many ways, that might be making sure that I'm drinking enough water today, doing your movement practices, making your body stronger and healthier, your intake and output, the electromagnetic field that is your physical body, allowing that to actually take actions to shift those little by little. That could be your sleep hygiene. And that's something that I am working on more and more. I actually just bought some of the blue light blockers because I do like to listen to things as stories to help me to go to sleep at night. So I might play, some people talk about this when I teach about doing the astral projection practices and improving your sleep hygiene for things like lucid dreaming or just intuitive dreaming. And for me, I find that a lot of us have the habit of watching TV before bed. And I talked to Spirit about it, and Spirit's like, well, remember when you were a kid, or perhaps as you are a parent, and you like to have those lighthearted stories. Now, I probably wouldn't I'm watching Dexter right now, but I don't watch it right before bed. Not good for my sleep hygiene. But I might shift to listening to a book, having a meditation as I go to sleep. Sometimes that's what would help to improve my sleep hygiene. But also, if I have on something in the background, like one of my TV shows, I watch one that is like I've seen it a million times and it's lighthearted, like Frasier. But what I do the hour before bed is, even if it's still on, I block the light from it. So I actually have it to where I can't see the TV screen light, but I've also gone ahead and bought blue blocking light, those glasses, because it's not the sound that actually stimulates the brainwave activity that keeps you more in the state that is beta, that actually is not conducive to your sleep hygiene. It's not the sound, it's the light. It's the blue light. So anyway, that's something that I'm doing to improve my sleep hygiene and my capacity to lucid dream, intuitive dream, and use my sleep time to have conscious out-of-body experiences or astral projection. So there you go. Those are the 5 keys. And so, oh gosh, I've been on for over an hour. So anyway, I guess I can go ahead and sign off, but I want to make sure that I have any time here for anyone who would like to ask a question or share something. And also, as I wrap up, I want to remind us about my public service announcement as I started this, which is balamfoundation.org. And this is the foundation to be able to adopt a cat from Mexico from my friend Fedra, who has Balam Foundation. Balam is the namesake of the foundation, is an incredibly gregarious and wonderful kitty named Balam. She has other kitties in her family. And so balamfoundation.org, I have up on the screen now their Instagram handle, which is instagram.com. It's at Balam _says, like SAYS, and Balam is spelled BALAM. And so Balam Foundation is it actually is a cat rescue, but they provide medical services, spaying and neutering and other medical services to cats and dogs, but especially they rescue cats. And they do this service in the most impoverished areas of Mexico. So it's a wonderful, wonderful organization. If you're thinking about getting a cat at all, please go to balamfoundation.org. Yes, you may be in the US because that's where I am, but they have most of the cats at Balam Foundation actually come to the US, so it works out somehow. Okay, that's what I have for you in my public service announcement, and one more mention of Astral Mastery, because registration is open now for either the full coaching version of it or the 6-month live class version of it. And so you have it in the description, and also it's in the comments now. And let me see what Richard says. Hi, Richard. Thank you. A wonderful session. Best wishes from New Zealand. Oh, thank you. You're in the future. We're time traveling to be able to connect. You're in my future. I'm in your past. So I guess, Richard, I'm younger to you because I'm yesterday to you. That's pretty cool. I like that. Hi, Linda. Oh, glad I caught you. Thank you. Glad we're catching each other too. Well, I guess that is about it for this episode. Again, we have 5 keys that were given to us by the Atlantis 7 Council of Light. 5 keys to help us to continue to accelerate and exponentially accelerate into our new stellar era. This stellar era being one where, quite honestly, we have amazing things like love and compassion as the norm for our society. We also have much more what we would call now magical abilities, our spiritual abilities online for us, our consciousness technologies, where we're probably in open contact with extra-dimensional, extraterrestrial brothers and sisters. Yes, that they are here now on our planet, and they are facilitating this new paradigm that we're in. And if you are someone who's in your human design experiment, it's all aligning with the 2027 shift too. So those 7 keys as mindful and also active practices that help us to continue to shift and make our lives more wonderful and beautiful, to manifest more. So many things. So that's what I have for you in this episode. Thanks so much for shining your light on our beautiful world. And thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.